I remember the sound more than anything. Not the mountain, not the mud, not the finish line, but I remember the sound. Because when I hit the ground, I heard something inside my body make this noise that I had never heard before. And for a second, I was just lying there in the mud, and I had this thought that I hope I never have again. I remember thinking, oh my God, am I paralyzed? But to understand why I was lying on the ground in the middle of a Spartan race, wondering if I'd ever walk again, we got to back up a little bit. Hello, my powerful people. This is the Info Power Podcast, and I'm your host, Jasmine Conway. A few years ago, I decided to sign up for a Spartan race, and I thought that I was training for a race, and I didn't realize that I was actually training for life. And over the next several episodes, I want to tell you about this experience and some of the things that it taught me, because years later, I don't remember what it felt like to go through all the obstacles. I don't remember my time. I don't even remember what place I finished in, but I do remember what happened, and I remember what it taught me. So let's go back. So at the time, I was living in Seattle during my digital nomad chapter because I had decided that I wanted to spend a summer in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. I mean, it's incredible. But honestly, I can't tell you what possessed me to sign up for this Spartan race. I knew that I wanted to compete in it. And when I say compete, I use that word very loosely. I was not trying to win anything. I wasn't trying to qualify for anything. My goal was just to finish. And if you've never seen a Spartan race before, it's basically a bunch of people voluntarily paying money to suffer. You are running up mountains, you're carrying heavy things, climbing up walls, crawling under barbed wire, covered in the mud, swimming in the mud. It is wild. And somehow I thought, yeah, that sounds like a good time. Sign me up. Now, here's the thing. I wasn't some elite athlete. I'm still not. I wasn't creating personal records every time I worked out. I just wanted to challenge myself. And I think if we're honest, most of us have something inside of us that wants that. Not because we enjoy pain or because we're trying to impress anyone, but because there's something about doing hard things that reminds us that we are alive. And maybe that's why people run marathons or start businesses or move to new cities or become parents. Not because it's easy, but because it's meaningful. So anyway, race day comes and almost immediately we start running uphill. And when I say uphill, I mean uphill. And I quickly realized that I was one of the slowest people out there. People were passing me right and left. But honestly, I didn't care because I was moving. I was running my own race, and that's all I came there to do, just to keep moving. So I carried the sandbags, I climbed the obstacles, I crawled through the mud, and somewhere around 2/3 of the way through, I got to this rope wall. And by the time I get to this rope wall, I am exhausted. I'm wet. I've already swam in the mud, so everything is muddy. And I remember thinking, okay, I'm going to take it one obstacle at a time. So let's go. So I start climbing and I get all the way to the top. And getting to the top, it was hard, but it wasn't the problem. The problem was getting over the wall because at some point you have to stop pulling with your arms and you're no longer using your upper body and you have to use your core to swing your body over the wall. And at this point, I had nothing left. And I mean, nothing. I tried and I just couldn't do it. And I tried again and I still couldn't do it. And then I noticed that my hands were starting to slip off of the rope. Everything was muddy and it was just wet. And I was trying to hold on. I was trying to pull myself over. And before I knew it, boom, I hit the ground. It was probably about 10 feet. And immediately I heard this, it's like this cracking sound. It wasn't like a branch breaking or a pop. It was just a sound that I had never heard come from my body. And I didn't move, not because I couldn't move, but because I was afraid. I was scared. And I remember thinking, please just let me be able to move. Because when something like that happens, your mind, it goes everywhere. And for a second, I was wondering if this was one of those moments that was going to change everything. So a bunch of people rushed over, the race staff rushed over, other competitors came over, and everyone was asking if I was okay, if I wanted to call medical. And I remember saying, just let me see if I can get up. And, slowly I moved and I realized that I could move. Thank God. But I also realized that something wasn't quite right. When I stood up, I couldn't put much weight on my left leg. And later, I found out that it was because I had torn my quad muscle. But at that moment, all I knew was that I still had a third of the race left. And something inside of me said, you are going to finish this race. Now, before you start thinking that this is a motivational speech or something, I should probably tell you that there was nothing noble about this moment. I wasn't thinking about inspiring anyone. It wasn't like a movie moment. I was just being stubborn and delusional, but I wanted to finish. That was my only goal. And one of the staff members, they asked me if I was sure. And I'm like hesitating because I'm like, I don't know. And then a few competitors, they asked me something that I'll never forget. And they asked me, are you here alone? And I said yes, because I was there alone. I was living in a place where I didn't know anyone. And they kind of looked at each other and then they looked at me. And one of them said, if you want to finish, we will make sure you finish and we will go at your pace. Now, here's what's wild. These people didn't know me. They didn't owe me anything. They had their own race to run. They had their own goals, their own finish times. And yet they decided that my race had become their race. And because of them, I finished. It was slow and it was painful, and they had to help me through the entirety of the rest of the obstacles and the rest of the course. But I crossed that finish line and I became a Spartan finisher. And honestly, for a while, I thought that was a lesson. That grit wins, that determination wins, that if you just persevere long enough, you're going to make it. But looking back, I don't think that that's actually the lesson. Because, yeah, I finished. But I didn't finish alone. And maybe that's the part that I missed for a long time. Like, maybe the real story isn't that I was tough enough. Maybe the real story is that there were people who were willing to slow down for me. Maybe the real story is kindness, companionship, or that strength doesn't always look like carrying everything by yourself. Maybe true strength includes the humility to be able to accept help when it's offered. Because the truth is, none of us are going to get very far in life if we don't have support systems. And maybe the reason that we choose hard things isn't because we enjoy suffering. Maybe it's because the hard things have a way of showing us who we are. And sometimes they show us who other people are too. I still have the medal. But what I remember most are the people. What I remember is lying in the mud and being afraid, scared out of my mind that I would never be able to walk again. And what I remember hearing is a complete stranger say, I'm here with you. We are going to finish this with you. And I think that's why this story has stayed with me for so long, because life has a funny way of giving us races that we never trained for. Relationships ending, starting over, moving to a new city, building something from scratch, or recovering from a loss, or healing, trying again. And maybe all of us are carrying something heavy. And maybe all of us have had moments where we wondered if we could keep going. And maybe we're not supposed to do it alone. Like, looking back, this race taught me a lot about what it meant to operate in full power. Not power as, control or perfection, or power as in never needing anyone, but power as the ability to keep moving forward, even when things don't go according to plan. Power as resilience, as humility, as allowing yourself to be supported. And power as in finding meaning, even in the challenges that you did not choose for yourself. And over the next several episodes, I want to talk about some of the things that this race taught me about perseverance and bouncing back, about needing help and being willing to ask for it and receive it, about friendship and companionship and support systems, about redefining success, about finding meaning. Because I thought that I had just signed up for a race, but I did not realize that I was training for life. And if you're in the middle of your own race right now, whatever that may look like, I hope you will join me for this series and follow along as we unpack these lessons together. Thank you for being here. And until next time, keep moving forward. You don't have to be the fastest or have it all figured out. You just keep moving. And as always, stay powerful. If this resonated with you, share it with another powerful person who needs to hear it. I'm Jasmine Conway. This is the Info Power Podcast. I'll talk to you next time.